All right, so the challenges of communicating when it comes to money across the genders. All right, so I'm just going to take the example of husband wife. All right, and that sometimes, many times, look at your own marriage, your own relationship, and ask yourself how many of our conflicts have to actually do with money. And whether or not money is the actual cause is a completely different subject for a different day. But what I can tell you is that the money may be the element, but the reason for the conflict, all right, this is my rule, is that every time you point a finger, there's always three pointing back at you. You have to first always check yourself. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you when it comes to money. The number one rule when you're addressing finances, all right, and ladies, I'm dealing with you right now, usually specifically, is that when we're dealing with money, this is the rule, okay? Just take a breath and accept the information, is that feelings and finances do not touch, ever. Okay, now I know that straight off the bat, if you have kids, that's going to be a hard message for you to receive, because I know a lot of you want to have more money or want to have enough money so you can buy the cute thing for your kids, and they want this and that for high school, or they want sports or your Christmas and blah blah blah. I get that. Okay, so there's going to be a primary spot for conflict to occur because your husband's brain, it doesn't involve feelings when it comes to finance. Now, there's always exceptions to every rule, and so what I'm going to outline here is actually the rule, and then you see, maybe you're the exception, I'm not sure. So what we need to first start with when it comes to having money conversations that are not angry and are not, stuff being thrown across and things slamming and silent treatment for, 5 days, is your job as a couple is to be a team, all right? Not adversarial, but an actual team to work together, and that's your friend. All right, so you're working together for the betterment of your family, and your responsibility is to be a responsible steward with the things that are entrusted to you. Money is one of those things. Now, here's where we can actually begin to see some conflict. It's with how the brains are actually structured. Now, what does this even have to do with money? I'm going to tell you. If we were to look at the brain, all right, so we have to go on a little bit of an anatomy tour here first before we can progress with the actual money issue. Is our goal is to discover why are we having conflict with communication about money, not about the current financial situation, the in and out of, expense and income in your household. Okay, so the brains, anatomically, the size of the brain of a man is bigger than that of a woman, size-wise. Okay, now the difference is, and this is not indicative of intelligence level, ability, capability, or anything like that. We're just talking size. The difference with the female brain is that although the female brain is smaller, there's an area of the brain, which actually it's a strip of tissue in the middle. It connects both the right and left side of your brain. It's called the corpus callosum. And even though the female brain is smaller, there's more nerves. The corpus callosum is what connects the right and left side, and it's got like all these nerves passing through it. And the corpus callosum of the female is actually, it has more neural pathways in there. So it's firing and it's very, very loud. And you can see how that comes out in the female's thought process, that usually she's multitasking, she can be over here, but her mind is in 5 other places. Whereas the structure, the brain structure of a man, it's not geared to be that way. And again, it doesn't indicate, any sort of disability or lack of ability or intelligence. It's structured that way, and it makes men more linear, logical, and very one place at one time sort of thinking. So I want to tell you that if your expectation is for your husband to think like a woman, that's a fault in your expectation. Just like, gentlemen, if your expectation is for the woman to think like you, all right, that's a fault in your expectation. Your responsibility is to understand how the other one operates so that you can come alongside of them, okay? And you're building one another up. And now I see my brain doesn't work like that, her brain doesn't work like mine, vice versa. All right, how do we make this actually work together? Okay, so here's what I'm gonna tell you. When it comes to finances, in every coaching situation that I've ever done, what I've always done is done a lot more work with the women. It's been my experience that the men who have entered the program for whatever reason, usually like a health and fitness goal, or they're changing careers or whatever, they put up a huge stopping block and they refuse to do any work in the financial arena. They say that they have it under control. That in and of itself, of course, paints an uncoachable spirit, which, that's why they're having conflicts in other areas. But with the women, typically what happens is once we work with her and get her thinking actually more like a business owner and taking the feels out of the finances, it's not changing how her mind works, it's empowering her with education, or empowering you with education, so that you can clearly see how do we look at expenses versus income, and then how do we make powerful moves to not just be like, well, I want to do this, I'm just going to work more, or I thought that I had all this money, but now taxes are here again, and oh crap, now the kids are going back to school, and guess what, it's Christmas time, blah, blah, blah. And you're always kind of like, you're trying to plug the holes in the wall rather than controlling the hemorrhage and making the powerful shifts. So I just want to let you know that structurally, you're setting yourself up for success when you have the knowledge of how the other individual's brain works. When it comes to math, when it comes to budget, and ladies, you may be doing this up in your mind, but again, your husband, his brain doesn't operate like that. They're very logical and linear. God made their brain that way on purpose, because when it comes to decision times, once they make a decision and they put their heels in, that's what we rely on them for, is to be that force, so that when we start to feel really bad, oh, he's like, no, right? So that becomes like the balance of power. Okay, so stepping into any sort of coaching when it comes to like finance stuff, it can cause a lot of anxiety in individuals for a number of different reasons. One of which is, your dialogue with money. If you've grown up in a household where you had issues with poverty, and money was always in scarcity, and you were always told, we don't have enough money. Maybe you had food stamps, maybe you didn't have food, whatever the problem was, that creates a belief system in you that can cause you to be very fearful of money, believe it or not. If you've had financial hardship as an adult, it can do the exact same thing. And when you have those really scary times, they can cause things similar to post-traumatic stress. Like, it's a big deal, right? And so you may feel like, I don't have command of the money, but maybe what you don't have is the proper money mindset. You don't have sound financial literacy practices in your household, and you don't even have a vision for the future on how to actually take this mess of money and move forward. Okay? All I'm going to tell you is that I know it can be scary for the first time. I have a triage system in place, the nursing side of me, to come out to help you guys, whether it's you're an individual or you are in a family, to be able to go through and quickly get a quick analysis on your current financial situation. And then the purpose of the coaching is I'm not a financial planner, so I don't do that. And I'm not looking at your guys' specific numbers. Where I come into the equation is helping you to have the communication strategies then to have effective dialogue. All right, clean up the mess across the genders, right? How do you bring your kids into the picture so that they are like a contributing factor of the family, which helps you right now, but it also helps them when then they're stepping out into adulthood. So like the trickle down effects of when you get correct just with a money dialogue are friggin' exponential. But it's rooted, first and foremost, the conflict in basic anatomy.